In this video, we're going to see how to add a stroke around a feathered oval. We'll go from this to this. Hi, I'm Rick from EssentialPhotoshopElements.com. Let's go over to Elements and get started. I'm using Photoshop Elements 15 for this video, but it'll work in other versions as well. The photo I'm going to be using is a free download from a website called Unsplash. You can find it by going to unsplash.com and using the search feature to type in Fritz-Walter. The first thing I'm going to do is resize this photo. So let's go up to the Image menu and choose Resize Image Size. And the Image Size dialog box appears. And you can see this image is 80 inches wide by 53 inches high, and it's a resolution of 72 pixels per inch. So I'm going to change the resolution to 300 pixels per inch by double clicking in the resolution field and then typing 300. And when I do that, you can see that the size comes down, so it was like 80 inches wide and now it's only 19.2 inches wide. Still pretty big, but good enough. So I'm going to click OK to close the image size dialog box and accept our changes. The next thing I'm going to do is duplicate the background layer by pressing Command J on a Mac, or it would be Control J on a PC. And now you can see over in the Layers panel there's a duplicate of the background layer, and it's named Layer 1. And that's the layer that I'm going to be working on for now. Now I want to get the elliptical marquee tool. So if you look in the toolbox right now, the rectangular marquee tool is active, but let's say that the hand tool was active. I would click on the rectangular marquee tool and then go down to the tool options and select the elliptical marquee tool from down there by clicking on it. And then I'm just going to click and drag an elliptical marquee selection around this guy's head. And once you have your selection, if you want to move it, you can just put your cursor inside of the selected area and click and drag to move it around. His head's kind of tilted, so I'm going to not quite center it, but put it a little more over towards the left side. And now I want to save this selection. So I'll go up to the Select menu and click on Save Selection. And the Save Selection dialog box appears. For name, I'm just going to type in oval. And then click OK to close the dialog box and accept my change. So now we have the selection just as it is right now saved. But at this point, I'm going to feather the selection. But we're still going to have our unfeathered selection saved. To feather it, go back to the Select menu and choose Feather by clicking on it. And we get this dialog box. I'm going to give it a pretty big feather of 20 pixels. And click OK to close the box and accept the change. And right now, the guy's head is selected, but I want to fill everything outside the selected area with white. So I need to make that area selected. And we can easily do that by just inverting the selection that we have. To do that, go back up to the Select menu and choose Inverse by clicking on it. And now, I don't know if you can see in the video, but there's marching ants around the outside of our photo. And then we also have our oval. So this whole area, everything except for the oval with the guy's head in it, is selected at this point. Now I'm going to fill that area with white. And you can do that by going to the Edit menu and choose Fill Selection. And the Fill Selection dialog box appears. And from the Use field, if you click on it, you get this pop-up menu. And I'm going to choose white from there. And then say OK, or click on OK to close the box and accept the change. I'm going to deselect by pressing Command D on a Mac, or it would be Control D on a PC. And now we have a nice feathered selection of our image. Now I'm going to create a new layer above Layer 1 by clicking on the Add a New Layer icon. I'm going to load that unfeathered selection that we saved. So to do that, go to the Select menu, choose Load Selection, and the load selection dialog box appears. And in this selection field, if you click on that, you'll see that selection that we named oval. So click on that and then click OK to close the dialog box and load the selection. And now you can see we have the marching ants of our selection. So now to put our stroke around the selected area, go up to the Edit menu and choose Stroke Outline Selection by clicking on it. And we get this stroke dialog box. I played around with this a little before I started filming, and I found that for this size image, I thought an 8 pixel stroke looked good. Just type 8 into the width box, and it'll be different depending on what size you prefer. If this were just a 72 pixel per inch image as opposed to a 300 pixel per inch, an 8 pixel stroke would be quite large, but for 300 pixels per inch it's pretty good. So it depends on the resolution and the size. I usually always choose inside, which means I want the stroke to be on the inside edge of my selection. It really doesn't matter much with an oval, but if you have like a square selection, you want to use inside to get nice sharp corners. Just out of habit, I usually choose inside. Now I'm going to click OK to close the dialog box and accept my change. And I'm going to deselect by pressing Command D on a Mac, or it would be Control D on a PC. It looks a little jagged, and that's because I think we're in 42.5% view. So I'm going to go up to 50% view, which is a little more accurate. And now our stroke looks smoother like we want it. I want this stroke to be a little bigger, not the width of the stroke, but I want it to be further outside of the image area. Since we have it on its own layer, we can transform just that layer. So if I press Command T on a Mac, or it would be Control T on a PC, we get the free transform bounding box. If you go to any of the 4 corners, put your cursor over it until you get that diagonal double-headed arrow. If you click and hold down the Option or Alt key as you drag out diagonally, it will expand the stroke out evenly from the entire image. And I'll just drag out until the stroke looks good to me. And then I can let go of the mouse and the Option or Alt key. Just click the green check mark to accept the change. And there's our final result. I'm going to crop this image, but it's totally optional, so you don't have to do this, but I'm going to just because we have so much excessive white space. I'm going to double click the hand tool in the toolbox, which will fit my entire image into the work area so I can see all the edges. I'm going to select the crop tool from the toolbox by clicking on it, and then I'm going to click and drag. Once I get my selection, I'm going to adjust it by pulling on all the center handles, so the top center handle, until it'll snap right to the top of my stroke. And then I'll do the same with the bottom handle and the left side and the right side. Now that I have them all even, I can use that trick where we hold down the Option or Alt key as we click and drag diagonally, and it will come out even on all 4 sides. So I'm just going to put about that much white space around and then let go of the mouse button and the Alt or Option key. I like that, so I'm going to click the green check mark to accept. And there's our final image. I'll enlarge it so it looks smoother. And that completes this video on how to add a stroke to a feathered oval. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Until next time, this is Rick from EssentialPhotoshopElements.com saying take care.